The deafening roar of helicopter blades sliced through the otherwise calm hum of the schoolyard. Students crowded around the windows of their classrooms, eyes wide with astonishment, as a sleek black helicopter made its way down toward the football field. The sound of the blades was almost overwhelming, making it hard to hear anything else. But it wasn't just the noise that left everyone speechless. It was the stunned look on Mrs. Grayson's face that truly told the story. Her lips parted in shock, and the mocking smirk she'd worn earlier was completely wiped away. In the front row of the classroom, 10-year-old Amina Johnson sat with her chin held high, her eyes locked on the pilot who was now stepping out of the helicopter's cockpit. "That's my dad," she said, her voice steady, but quietly proud. And in that moment, it was clear. She wasn't just telling the truth, she was revealing something that no one had expected. But just an hour earlier, no one had believed her. "Your father a pilot? Really, Amina?" Mrs. Grayson had sneered, her voice dripping with sarcasm and disbelief. The class had burst into laughter, and Amina, sitting there with her fists clenched tightly under the desk, felt the sting of their ridicule. They didn't know the truth. They had no idea that the truth had wings. Amina had always been the quiet girl, the one who doodled pictures of airplanes in her notebook during class, the one who wore her dad's old pilot wings pin on her backpack every single day. The other kids often whispered about her, saying she made up these stories just to get attention. But what they didn't know, the reality they couldn't see, was that Amina's father wasn't just any pilot. He was a legendary one, well-respected and accomplished. He'd been deployed overseas for months, leaving Amina with only his letters, his stories, and her own deep sense of pride. Today was career day, and for once, she didn't want to keep it to herself. She wanted to say it out loud, to claim what was hers. "My dad flies helicopters," she wanted to shout. So, when Mrs. Grayson had called on her, Amina's voice faltered only for the briefest moment before she gathered herself. "My dad's a pilot," she said, her words steady, but a little shaky. "He flies rescue missions." Mrs. Grayson's response was swift, her lips curling into a dismissive smirk. "Quite the imagination you've got, Amina," she mocked, her tone thick with condescension. "Maybe next time, you should pick something a bit more realistic." The laughter from the class echoed in Amina's ears, the sting sharp and painful, but she didn't back down. Amina had something Mrs. Grayson didn't. She had a promise her father had made to her long ago. "If you ever need me, I'll be there." And today she needed him. At recess, Amina quickly slipped into the bathroom, her hands trembling as she dialed her dad's number. "Dad, they don't believe me," she whispered into the phone, her voice trembling with frustration. There was a brief pause before his calm, steady voice came through, reassuring her. "Give me 20 minutes, he said simply. Back in the classroom, Mrs. Grayson went on and on about honesty, all the while casting thinly veiled glances of disdain toward Amina. The other students whispered among themselves, not understanding what was really happening. Amina's heart raced, but then, through the sound of Mrs. Grayson's lecture, a distant thump, thump, thump suddenly cut through the air. The entire classroom erupted in chaos as the helicopter touched down on the school's football field. And there, stepping out of the chopper, in full flight gear, was none other than Captain Johnson, striding toward the school like a hero in a movie. The look on Mrs. Grayson's face went pale in an instant. For a heartbeat, Amina's chest tightened with worry. What if she had made a mistake? What if her dad got in trouble for interrupting the school day? What if the kids still laughed at her? But then, Captain Johnson entered the classroom, and everything went silent. He stood tall and looked directly at Mrs. Grayson. "You must be Mrs. Grayson," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I heard there was some confusion about my job." The teacher's face flushed as she stammered, caught completely off guard. Amina stood up from her desk, her voice ringing out loud and clear. "I told you my dad's a pilot," she said, her words carrying across the room. By the time career day came to an end, the whispers had changed. "Amina's dad is so cool," they said. "Did you see Mrs. Grayson's face when she realized?" But Amina wasn't smiling because of what the other kids were saying. No, she was smiling because her dad had knelt in front of her, his hands gently pressing his pilot wings into her palm. Next time, he whispered, I'll let you fly it. And as the helicopter soared back into the sky, Amina couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that some truths don't need to be proven. But oh, it sure did feel good when they were. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below. Let's spread some good vibes.